We're officially more than halfway through October, and you guys know what that means. It means it's time to do another budget update. I'm gonna be going through what I spent for the month of September, seeing if I hit my budget goals now that I made some new budget goals for myself. We're also gonna look at October to see what I can do to adjust and do maybe a little bit better with my spending. We'll see when we get into it. Also, I need to give you a warning that I officially know it's fall now because I just had my seasons changing sickness cold for the week. So if I'm a little congested, ignore that. Hopefully it'll keep getting better. The other thing we're going to talk about today is my phone bill. You guys know it's too expensive. You're always telling me that, and I totally agree. So it's time to actually address that in detail. That's coming up in this video too. So please give this video a big like down below before we get started. Subscribe if somehow you aren't already, and let's jump over to the desk and start looking at my budget for and what I spent for September. So you guys might remember from the last monthly budgeting video update that I did something a little bit different with my budget for September, and that was making a specific goal column for the month. Now, obviously, I typically do have monthly budgeting goals too, but it usually is just the same set standard categories that I have every single month. And you guys might even know from the beginning of the year video that I do where I set that for the year and then that becomes my monthly standard. It just hasn't been working the best for me this year. I kept going over in a few different categories, mostly in food costs in general. And so I thought maybe it'd be a little bit more realistic for me to set these goals that are somewhere in between my ideal goals and what I've realistically actually been spending. So we're gonna be able to compare the two and how I did against my goal categories this month. But let's start off with looking at everything. There's actually something a little bit new with my income for this past month too. You guys know that we pay ourselves our set salary of $2,036 every month, so that's still the same. But then I have this other money as well that came specifically from cashing out my Neo financial cashback credit card, which is an awesome extra. Obviously, this doesn't happen that often, only every once in a while, many months at a time, but I got an additional $1,079.50 from that, which was great, and I'll show you exactly where that factored into my budget in a little bit. So after the income section, I also invest my $1,000 every single month. Still did that for September. You guys might know, quick recap from past videos, that I invest that $1,000 not from my monthly income. It's from a savings account that I have extra money in that I've decided to invest instead, but I like doing it every single month consistently versus in one chunk. So that's where that $1,000 plays in, and I put that into my Simple Invest robo-advisor TFSA account specifically. Now on to expenses, which is the fun, more variable part. Rent's always the same, $9.25. Internet's actually a little bit lower this month. Typically it's a set amount, but we got, if you're in Canada, you might have known the big Rogers power outage thing that happened a few months ago. We got a little credit back, so a little bit less for internet last month. Utilities came in 2 cents under budget, which is great. And then the food stuff, which you guys know has been the bane of my existence over the last few months. Trying to get our groceries down to $300 a month. Obviously, last month was a little bit better. I think I was at $350 or something. And now we're back up to $409. This is still lower than what we were at before. I was really trying to keep this lower, and we did our grocery challenge video and all of that, but still a little bit higher. We've noticed prices have definitely gone up even more so in the last few weeks. We noticed it with meat, especially, different stuff like that. So we're keeping an eye on this. I think for October, we're going to be lower again because we've been a little bit more conscious. So that'll be something to look out for in the future too. But groceries, a little bit over, which does affect my totals down below. So we'll talk about that in a second. Restaurants, also over my goal, which was brought down. I've been spending over $200 a month for a long time now. My ideal goal is $100. I brought it up to $125, and I still spent $182. Now, it's less than 200, so that's a slight win. I still ideally want to bring it down even more, but we'll talk in a bit what I'm going to do with October for the restaurant budget to see if I can actually get in exactly on my goal. Also, I meant to comment because part of that 182, we Uber Eats lunches a few times, but the other thing that factored into that is Dennis and I went to the Just for Laughs comedy festival in Toronto last month, which was really fun, but we also bought some stuff from the concession stand, which made me go even more so over, and it's pretty expensive to buy $4 water from the concession stand. So that was part of my food budget for last month. Coffee shops, I'm pretty good, stuck with my exact budget of $50. So my total for food, what did that bring me up to? $641, when ideally I want to be spending, I think, $475. So I'm definitely still over budget here, and that's the biggest category that I went over by in anything this month yet again. So next up, transportation, $0 again for the month. Didn't plan on spending anything for that. If you are new, we typically are able to walk or take the streetcar anywhere that we go. The streetcar isn't free, but we preload our Presto cards, which is our transit passes, so don't pay for it very often. On top of that, health costs was the same. Prescription, massage, I do one of those every single month, so that's always consistent. Then onto the phone bill. You guys know this is the one area that's way too high for what it should be, especially for my budget and my goals. But we're going to talk about that in just a second, so hold on. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Other than that, personal care, I was excited about this category because I brought my budget up for this from a typical like $100 a month, which is even higher than my beginning of the year goals, to $150, and I spent $138. So it kind of worked because I spent less than normal and was in that budget goal. So even though I brought the goal category up, I was able to stay within that new limit, which is exactly what I wanted to do, which is awesome. Gifts or donations, this is $52. I budgeted $50 because when I set these categories, I already knew that I had spent money on Dennis's birthday last month. It was $2 over what I budgeted, but $52. And then subscriptions is still Spotify and Crave. That's what I'm spending on right now for subscriptions. So it's $33.88. Okay, so the last part of the budget is the part that I was excited about from last month. You guys know we did this extra budgeting video that Dennis was into, and we tried out some different new budgeting methods. If you didn't see that one, you should definitely check it out. We really love that video. But as part of that, I tried out sinking funds for the first time. Now, you might have heard me say before that I'm not normally a big fan of sinking funds. I totally think they can have their use if it's for something you're already going to be spending on that's big anyway. But I think sometimes they can get a little convoluted and people just start having a sinking fund for everything and they just spend all their money instead of actually saving it. Now, I wanted to test it out though for some things that I knew I'd be spending on anyway though. So that's for me, Christmas gifts and dentist appointments, because those come out of my regular budget. They're not part of my regular budget to spend on dentist appointments. They're obviously a couple $100. So my plan was to save $65.98, the leftover money for everything else, into that sinking fund, which is just going to be with all my other savings. Now, because of the extra income that I brought in from the Neo financial cashback rewards that I cashed out, instead what I did with that money is allocate it towards my different sinking funds. So that's kind of what I planned on, just like not touching it and just having it in there, put it into something to invest. But I thought it could be useful to kind of sort it out and play around with this, especially since I went slightly over budget and didn't even have that $65 because of my food costs to put into my dentist appointments. So what I did instead is I filled up what I needed for my dentist appointment. I already had it in October. We'll talk about that in a sec. But it was $250 exactly. So I put that much of it into there. And then I spent, or at least allocated, $500 of it to continue to go to money to invest. This category I kind of added in there, but just basically to stay and to eventually go into my investments. And then the leftover between those two just went towards Christmas gifts. So basically all of this is still just in my same account, but in my mind, this is where it's allocated to and I know where the money is going towards. So with all of that done, I ended up, you can see at the bottom here, just allocating all of my money to something, ended up with $0 at the end. So this went pretty well for me this month. I'm going to continue to see how this goes. I definitely want to keep setting goal categories for myself and playing around with it to continue to drive down specifically my food expenses. And obviously I'm not going to have that extra income to play with next month. So it was good to have that for now, but let's dive into talking specifically about my phone like I said I would. Okay, so it's time that we actually address in depth my way too expensive phone bill. You guys comment on it on every video that we do that's about my budget, and I totally understand $101.70 is too expensive for the phone bill every single month. I 100% agree. I take the flack every time because I agree with you. But we need to talk a little bit more about it and what my plan is to change that moving forward. So the reason that I even pay $101 right now for my phone bill every month is because about 3 years ago, it was January 2020, I had to look that up because I can't believe it was even that long ago. But about 3 years ago, I got off of my family's phone plan and got my own. Now, I definitely don't think that people have to get off their family's phone plan if they can have that. It's a great way to save some money. At the time, my parents still paid for my phone bill from me being out of school, and I just really wanted to be independent. I paid all my other own bills. I wanted to get off their phone plan, and instead of paying them money, I decided to just get my own plan. I understand that, but that decision to do that, but again, maybe could have saved some money the other way, but whatever. I went for it and I got the equivalent of the same plan that I had with my family plan, now just paying on my own. So it was a little bit more expensive than it would have been otherwise. So that's what I signed up for, and I was locked into a 2-year contract at the time. Now that ended at the end of 2021, or maybe it was January of this year, 2022. And my plan in January of this year was to change my phone bill. That was one of my big to-do list goals for the beginning of the year. Somehow we're in October and I just still haven't done it. There's not really any good excuse for that. It's just something I've been putting off and paying like almost double what I should be every single month, which is silly, and it's definitely time for me to make a change. So what I've been planning on doing for the last few months is eventually switching to public mobile. Right now my plan is with Bell, which is one of the big providers. It's more expensive. Public mobile is under TELUS. It's the exact same company that Dennis has been using, and it's great. And so what I was looking to do is getting a plan that's really similar to what I have now, but instead it would be $50 per month even, which is literally less than half of what I'm paying, and that would be great. Now, when I was looking into it, I totally could still do that and very much likely will. I was looking into some other competitors too, just for interest's sake. Fido, their plan that's pretty similar for a little bit more data is $67 per month. That's under Rogers, their cheaper version. So I was looking into all of that. The only thing that's still making me hesitate, even though I shouldn't be hesitating, is the fact that my phone itself is now 3 years old and I might be looking to get another one. Now, it's still probably gonna be cheaper for me to buy my phone again as is, like buy another phone and then get a cheaper plan than it is to be locked into another Bell plan where you buy their phone, pay it off over time, and end up paying over $100 every single month again. So I'm still gonna likely go the direction of getting one of these cheaper plans, and I know I'm just saying it right now, I'm still not gonna do that in the next few days. I know it's gonna take me a second to decide if I'm gonna get a new phone or not. If I was giving myself advice, I would say just go for the cheaper plan right now. And I wanna hear you guys go ahead and tell me to do that in the comments below. Maybe it'll motivate me even more. But that's where I'm at with my phone plan right now. I know what plan I'm likely gonna go to for $50 a month. I just need to decide on what I'm doing with my phone. All right, so that's it for the phone for now. Let's go jump back to the desk and talk about my budget for October. All right, so now let's jump into talking about my budget for October, which is the month we're in right now. Nothing out of the norm for income or salary wise, still just the regular $2,036 and no extra money this month, so I gotta factor that in. I still plan on investing my $1,000 into my Wealthsimple Invest TFSA. That's staying consistent. Rent's the same, nothing special with internet utilities planned this month either, so same budgets. And then into food. So last month I budgeted $300, right? That's the goal, was to try and keep bringing it down to close to $300. I just don't think, based on the trend right now, that it's going to hit that exact number. And I kind of want to play with it the same way I've been playing with those other categories to make it a little bit more realistic, but still lower than what I've been at now. So I set it at $350. We'll see this month. I already know, since we're halfway through it, has been pretty good on groceries. It's been a little bit lower. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's what I have it set at for now. Restaurants, I think I brought up, yes. So last month we just looked at it. It had it at $125. I still spent over, but I went a little bit lower. So this month I've set it to $150, and I'm hoping that that'll be right where I hit it, exactly on that mark. Bring it down a little bit more because I brought the budget up a little bit more. We'll see how that goes for me. And coffee shop's still at my regular $50, which I've been pretty good at hitting. So now my total for food goal would be $550. That would still be bringing it down from about $90 from what I spent last month. I'd be really happy with that. So we will see how that goes for food. The goals for that continue. Still nothing for transportation like usual. The same for health, except for dentist appointments. So you guys saw when I was talking about my September budget that I put some money into that sinking fund for the dentist. And I already had my dentist appointment this month at the very beginning of October. Dennis and I both went to the dentist, and it was $250 even for me, which is great. Now I'm not going to go again for about 6 months. So I'll start eventually a few months from now building that back up again too, with whatever extra money I have in my budget each month. But that is it for this month. So again, I don't have it feeding down below my total expenses because it didn't come out of this month's income. It came out of just my checking account from what I'd saved before. So that's the dentist. Then on to personal. So phone bill, we just talked about this, still for this month, $101.70. Personal care, I brought down again back to $100. Last month I went over that, right? I had it set at $150 and I spent $138. So we'll see. I'm already, knowing that I'm halfway through the month, I've already bought a few things out of the norm. I had to buy Chemex filters for Chemex coffee maker. And also I bought fall jacket. I bought from Old Navy a fall shacket. It was great. It was only $32, which is awesome. Love that price. I needed a fall jacket. Didn't need it, but I could have used a fall jacket, so that's why I went for that. But that, along with the other regular stuff, we'll see if I hit that $100 mark next month. And then otherwise, it's just subscriptions for the typical $35. I think it's $33.88 every single month. And that would bring me to having $90.98 left. So I put that towards my Christmas gifts sinking fund. So basically what all this means is that if I do go over in some of my other categories, I'm just not going to have that $90 set towards Christmas gifts.
Obviously, it'd be great if I do because we're already into October and I want to start probably buying stuff in November. I love to do Black Friday shopping sales for my Christmas gifts. If I already know what I'm going to be buying, get those sales in. So I have a little bit of money set aside for it. Hopefully I can save that full $90 to have that extra as well in there. But we'll see how the month unfolds.
Okay, that's a wrap for this video. We hope you guys liked watching it. Please give it a big like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Gotta keep giving you guys those reminders. I also wanted to mention, if you're still watching to the end right now, we are gonna have a bit of a change to our upload schedule on YouTube over the next few weeks at least. Our plan is to start posting it just on Sundays for now. So there's a video right now on Sunday. You'll have another one next Sunday instead of on Wednesday. We're doing some fun new stuff coming up on the channel soon, and in order to get ready for that, we want to pare back our schedule so we can prepare for these new videos that we're really excited for coming soon. If there's any changes to that at all, then we'll keep you guys updated in the community tab. But for now, we hope that you guys enjoy your week, and I'll be back next Sunday. If you haven't seen any of our previous videos, as always, make sure you check them out next door, and we'll see you next week with more.